Yo, what's good, you guys? Welcome back to the Seafood That Guy channel. This is your boy, Seafood That Guy. And One Piece is on break this week, but fear not. We got lots of stuff to talk about. But before we get started, make sure you guys drop a like on the video. Super important so we can get back into that algorithm. And after that, make sure you subscribe. Hit the notification bell, guys. We're almost at 400 subscribers, guys. So if you guys would be so kind, sub to the channel, really help us out. And you already know the catchphrase. Let's get straight into it.
Hey, listen!
So after the end of the last chapter of 1093, the Straw Hats are in a bit of a bind. They're in a predicament. No, they are not down for the count. However, our captain, Gear 5th Luffy, is currently locked in battle with Kizaru, and Kizaru is a force to be reckoned with. On top of that, the escape plan has pretty much already failed, right? Kizaru came in, hit them with the 1-2, destroyed the Vega Force 1 that was supposed to take the ship far enough away from the island that they could coup de burst all the way to Elbap, or at least far enough away from the Marines. But the fight between Luffy and Kizaru has gotten so crazy, it resulted in the destruction of the Vega Force 1. On top of that, in some sort of emotional outburst, Vegapunk himself has decided to go and save Bonnie. With the Marines' #1 mission to eliminate Vegapunk, this was probably the worst case scenario. However, he does have some extra muscle with the likes of Sanji and Frankie joining him on his mission. Even that spells disaster for Vegapunk because they don't know that Saint Saturn is lurking in the shadows of the Fabrio phase and they're walking right into a trap. Now, let's go ahead and frame this properly. So like I said before, Luffy is in the middle of a battle with an admiral, so don't expect his help anytime soon. Zoro is also locked in battle with Rob Lucci, so that should keep him busy for a while. Jinbei is off somewhere with Robin, so that leaves our 4th strongest in Sanji. And don't get me wrong, Sanji's not a slouch. He took out a Yonko commander, but I don't see him being able to take on the likes of Saint Saturn. No offense to all the Sanji stands out there, but my guess is no. And guessing that without even fully knowing what Saint Saturn's powers are. We have yet to see Saint Saturn's power in full display. However, he was a part of the group that chased King Cobra and Sabo out of Mary Joa. And I know Sabo is strong, however, there was just something different with these 5. Sabo, being the chief of staff of the revolutionaries, has never really been afraid of those types of scenarios before. We see him in the Corrida Coliseum. It wasn't really a problem. Even Burgess was a part of that group. But for some reason with this group, it made Sabo want to get the hell out of there. Needless to say, I don't really have to justify this anymore. I don't think Sanji's going to be able to beat a Gorosei member, and it's just not gonna happen. But there might yet still be a way the Straw Hats and Vegapunk can escape Egghead Island and get to Elbap. And that answer might be the mad tyrant Bartholomew Kuma. Now, to explain this, we have to back up a little bit. Over the course of the past 10 chapters or so, Kuma has been trying like hell to invade the Holy Land Mary Joa. The reasons are not yet clear to us, however, the military has sent a sizable force and the fleet admiral to deal with Kuma. I don't know about you, but to me, that's a huge deal. Even the current Yonko hasn't been met with an audience of Akainu, right? And don't get me wrong, this could be just because he's attacking Mary Joa. Mary Joa is right next to Marineford, and on top of that, Kizaru is away. We don't know what happened between Fujitora and Aramaki, so We just don't know the reason why Akainu decided to come here himself. However, I still consider it a pretty big deal. Kuma's intentions are unclear, but the way he's acting is pretty weird, even for a robot, right? He's pretty much ignoring all of the marine forces, and he's running from Akainu, even though he can use his powers, and I'm sure he could use his powers to at least defend himself. He hasn't done any of that. He's just trying to make it to wherever he's going. He's gotten cannonballs shot at him. Akainu has now taken part of his face and his legs, so he can barely run, but he's still going, right? And right before Akainu can give the finishing blow, he uses his powers to push himself out of there to a destination that we have yet to see. This brings us to our first question, which is, where the hell did Kuma go, right? Some people are theorizing that he went back to Dragon on Kamabaka Queendom. However, I doubt this because he never really seemed like he wanted the help to begin with, right? As soon as he woke up, he went into a panic mode and he disappeared and went straight to Marijoa. He didn't even say anything to the revolutionaries. That tells me that whatever's going on Marijoa is more important than even reconnecting with your old friends. Now, Kuma ain't all the way there anymore, guys. We know this. This has been explained to us over 100 times. Kuma's not the same person. However, he does have a shred of humanity left. And my thoughts are that whatever's going on Marijoa is just that important. Now, as a slave of the Tenryobito, there is an option that Kuma might have pushed himself further into Marijoa. However, why wouldn't he have just done that from the get-go? Why bother scaling the walls of the Red Line and fighting the Marines, getting locked in battle with Akainu just to be able to push yourself into your destination? It doesn't make any sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and say no to that option as well. For me, option C, which is also my favorite option, is that he went to Egghead Island. Let's stick a pin there and let's go back to Egghead Island, where in the end of chapter 1092, when Luffy got the beats from Kizaru but returned in his Gear 5th form, we saw at the end of chapter 1092, the ancient warrior robot has decided to mobilize after hearing the drums of liberation from Luffy's heartbeat. Somehow the Straw Hats yet have another random ally out of nowhere, and yeah, that's definitely Luffy's powers, so expect to see more of that. Now, we don't really know what the mission of this ancient warrior robot is, and to be honest with you, we don't even know why it's in the story currently. The only thing that we do know about it is that it was constructed about 900 years ago during the Void Century, and about 200 years ago, it did the exact same thing that Kuma is doing now, which is attack Marijoa. Now, before it could do serious damage, it ran out of energy because the eternal flame, quote unquote, that the ancient civilization used isn't around anymore. Vegapunk hasn't been able to reproduce it, but little does he know that it was really just Luffy's heartbeat that he needed the whole time. Who knew? Like I said before, we don't know the mission of this ancient robot. We don't know why it attacked Marijoa, although we do know that somehow Kuma and this robot have attempted the same thing 200 years apart. With the ancient warrior robot being awake now, what if I gave you a scenario where Kuma appears on the beaches of Egghead Island, faced, of course, with the marine opposition? Also, we know that the Pacifista have been given a command by Atlas to destroy the Marines. However, Saint Saturn is there, so that command might not even work. At the bare minimum, Saint Saturn will be able to override that command from Atlas. So that leaves the Pacifista, the Marines, and Saint Saturn all surrounding Vegapunk, Atlas, Sanji, and Frankie in what seems like could be the darkest hour for the Straw Hats on Egghead Island yet. Sure, Sanji and Frankie might be able to hold out for a while, I'll give them that. However, what if the scenario turns into a hostage situation? What if Bonnie were to be in danger, what situation would Sanji be in then? Would he be able to fight Saint Saturn and all the Pacifista to defend Bonnie? Nah. I highly doubt that. As a matter of fact, I can see it taking everything from Sanji just to be able to defend himself from Saint Saturn, much less the Marines and the Pacifista. On top of that, with Sanji being locked in battle with a Gorosei member, that would make Vegapunk and Bonnie vulnerable. Frankie will be able to take out some of the Vice Admirals. However, this is a lot of firepower we're talking about, and there's more than likely going to be a scenario where Vegapunk and Bonnie find themselves separated and surrounded by Vice Admirals and the Pacifista. And right before the Marines attack, Kuma pops in, not only to save Vegapunk, but to rescue Bonnie, to rescue his daughter. I don't know about you, but this would make a super awesome entrance for the character of Kuma. And to be honest with you, even without a face and a leg, I think that Kuma's power is so hacked that he'll be able to not only defend the Straw Hats from the Vice Admirals and the Pacifista, possibly in just a couple of blows. However, he'll also be able to push off Saint Saturn and allow the entire group to escape and regroup with the rest of the Straw Hats. Now that they have a brief moment of safety where Saint Saturn and the Vice Admirals aren't up their butt crack, Vegapunk can give Kuma some necessary repairs, his leg, his face, in order for Kuma to continue his mission. But before they do that, Kuma can now sync up with the ancient warrior robot and realize that their missions are the same. Vegapunk would then realize that it's the drums of liberation that are making the ancient warrior robot come to life. And once the Straw Hats leave, the ancient warrior robot would deactivate. So how do they keep it active? This is also where Kuma comes into play. Now, it was mentioned earlier in this arc that Kuma's power is not just the power to push things, but it's able to make the intangible tangible. It makes things that aren't real into real life things. And we saw this before where Kuma was able to physically push out Luffy's pain and give it to Zoro. Things like this shouldn't be possible. Of course, we see that he made his memories into a physical orb that Bonnie was able to react with. Things like this. So therefore, we know that Kuma's power is so hacked, he might be able to physically manifest and push out the drums of liberation in order for Vegapunk to duplicate it and give it to the ancient warrior robot. Now you have that power source, that energy source that the ancient warrior robot needs to be able to continue its mission. Now it's real. At this point, I don't know if both of these guys just go back to Mary Jo and continue their mission as a duo, or maybe Kuma fuses with the ancient warrior robot. Maybe Vegapunk maybe combines them together to make one badass robot. Let me know down in the comments which one you think is a better option. However, before they leave, they realize they can help Vegapunk and the Straw Hats one more time. Kuma can push anybody, anywhere part of the world, even to places that he probably hasn't been, as we saw when he pushed the Straw Hats off of Sabaody to various different places around the world that we doubt Kuma has been to. So pushing them to Elbaf, or at least in the vicinity of Elbaf, would make total sense. Kuma is the key here, guys. Kuma is the key to be able to escape Egghead Island and get to Elbaf. Let me know what you guys think about Kuma popping up at Egghead Island, saving the day. Personally, I think this would be awesome. And even if Kuma was to not make it in this situation, it would be a badass ending to a badass character. I mean, Kuma's situation has basically just been tragic up until this point, and he's also helped save the Straw Hats so many times. So he has to go out in a cool way. Let me know what you guys think down below. Is this a possible scenario for what Kuma could contribute to the story? Let me know below. Make sure you guys drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe. More theories on the way because we are on break this week, and until the end of next week, we're gonna have to talk about something. So stay tuned for that. This has been your boy Seafood That Guy speaking to you live. Make sure you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.